For solving triangles, we have to decide if we're going to use the cosine law or sine law. So in this case here, we have side, angle, side. So side, angle, side means that we don't have any angle, side, opposite pairings. Therefore, we have to use cosine law. So side, angle, side, this is cosine. Okay, so we're going to use the cosine law, and the one thing about the cosine law that we have to be careful of is we just have to make sure that those are going to be opposite in the cosine law. So if I want to solve for x squared, I just have to make sure that the x squared is going to have the cosine angle opposite to it. So we have 23 squared plus 15 squared, so a squared plus b squared minus 2 times a times b. Now the cosine part of this must relate to the angle opposite to the x. So this is going to be cosine of 62 degrees. Okay, so once we've established that, all we really need to do is calculate this value. So I'm just going to type this all into my calculator here. So I'm going to end up with 23 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 times 23 times 15, and then times that by cosine of 62 degrees, and we end up with 430.06. So x squared is 430.06, and then we're going to square root that to get the solution. So square rooting that value, we end up with 20.74. So x is 20.74. Okay, so then we can use cosine law or sine law to solve for the unknown angles, the other unknown angles. So I'm going to use cosine law. So I'm going to call this angle A, and this must be side A. And to solve for, I'm going to use a cosine law here. So I'm going to use 15 squared is equal to 23 squared plus 20.74 squared minus 2 times 23 times 20.74, and then we're going to solve for that cosine of angle A. Okay, so that angle A just has to be opposite to that 15, and we can then solve for the cosine value. So we want to rearrange this. So we get cosine A is equal to 15 squared minus 23 squared minus 20.74 squared. And then to solve for cosine, we need to get rid of the times, and we're going to do that with the divide. That's going to be divide by -2, divide by 23, divide by 20.74. Okay, so typing this all into my calculator here. So we're going to end up with 15 squared minus 23 squared. Oops, I think I did this wrong here. 15 squared minus 23 squared minus 20.74 squared. And we're going to divide that all by -2 times 23 times 20.74. Okay, and that gives me a cosine value of 0.7695, so I'm going to round that to 0.700. So cosine of A is equal to 0.700. Angle A, we're going to undo that cosine. So when we do the inverse cosine of that, I get an angle of 39.69 degrees. So that angle is 39.69 degrees. Okay, so that's going to write that in, 39.69 degrees. And then we can solve for that third angle by subtraction from 180. And that gives us 78.31. So this angle in here is 78.31. Okay, so that's going to be, we've got the unknown side and the two unknown angles, and there gives us the final, we've solved this triangle. Oh, and this question, by the way, did only ask us find the unknown side. So when we ended up with the unknown side length here, I'm just going to highlight this. So this was actually the answer that we were looking for. We didn't actually have to find the other angles, but we did anyways.